Welcome back to the Kosi Yasudo channel. My name is Kosi. Welcome back to a brand new video. We have a major transfer update on Benjamin Sesko. According to Christian Folk, Arsenal are leading the race to sign Benjamin Sesko from Leipzig, although Liverpool, Tottenham, Chelsea and Manchester United have all shown interest in the 21-year-old striker. Also, there is a big release clause that we have to talk about, which is 70 million euros, increasing up to 80 million euros, as reported by Florian Plattenberg from Sky Sports Germany. So the big question I want you to let me know in the comment box below is 80 million euros worth of Benjamin Sesko's services to Arsenal? Is it too much? Is it too little? Is it enough? And if we have 80 million euros, would you rather Arsenal go out there and try to do a deal for a player like Alexander Isak? Do you think that Isak is too expensive for us and therefore Benjamin Sesko is the one we should be targeting? Let me know in the comment box below. And of course, picture in mind that Arsenal can also sign Gyökeres this summer for 80 or even less than 80 million euros. So are we making the right decision by going for a 21-year-old striker that is going to cost us 80 million euros without a lot of experience? Now, according to David Onstein, he has come out and said that Arsenal have done a lot of extensive work on a couple of strikers, including Alexander Isak, Benjamin Sesko and a couple of others. But he says all the other strikers that we'll talk about in this video, by the way, as alternatives, are just backups to the main plan. The main plan is Benjamin Sesko and the main plan is Alexander Isak. Now, we don't know really whether Arsenal want to get Isak and Sesko or we want to get just one of them done, but at least multiple sources are saying that Benjamin Sesko to Arsenal is something that's going to be very, very active this summer. So David Onstein says that Arsenal have done extensive work on Sesko, more than any other club has done. Of course, Liverpool wants him, Man United wants him, Chelsea wants him, but Arsenal have gone a step ahead to do more work than any of the clubs. Now, when we say extensive work, this is what we mean. Arsenal have already established the position of the player on personal terms. What does he want? First and foremost, we know that he refused to join us in the summer because he didn't want to be a second to Kai Havertz. He wants to come in and have equal opportunity with the likes of Kai Havertz, with the likes of Gabriel Jesus. He wants to come in and fight for his position. He wants to come in and get that guarantee that you're going to be in number 9. That is part of the personal terms. Of course, we know how much he wants to get in terms of salary, and it is not as high as what Nico Williams wants, and that's why Arsenal feel in terms of personal terms the deal can be done. We also know what RB Leipzig want. We went in there last summer. We were trying to get the deal done for around 67 million euros. That's around 55 million pounds. The deal didn't happen, and it could happen this summer. But as far as I understand, according to Romano, Arsenal did talk to RB Leipzig in January. We also did talk to RB Leipzig in February as well. And that tells you that Arsenal have been keeping a very close relationship with RB Leipzig, and we've kept a very, very open negotiation policy with the club as well. And that, again, that is what extensive work means. That means that Arsenal have gone an extra step to understand if it is a release clause, how do we trigger it, when is it active, and all that kind of information. And of course, what does the player want? Is he willing to join us? Is he willing to leave RB Leipzig this summer? And if he's willing, what is it going to take? Now, Onstein says that at the moment, Arsenal are not 100% on Sesko, and therefore, if Sesko goes to another club, Arsenal might actually not feel a bit of a loss. And that's the reason. The reason for that is we want to sign Alexander Isak as well. Isak is on top of Mikel Arteta's agenda this campaign, and if something happens on that front line, you might actually see Arsenal signing Isak. Now, of course, David Onstein says that every player has a market price. At the moment, Newcastle have not established their market price for Alexander Isak, but sources around the transfer market are saying it's going to cost upwards of 150 million euros. Now, personally, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think Arsenal are going to sign one player for 150 million euros. It will depend on Andrea Bata. It will depend on Tim Lewis and all the guys that are going to be working on transfers. But I kind of feel like with an experienced sporting director, in place, maybe Andrea Bata, maybe someone that has got the experience and has worked on a couple of deals, we might not get Alexander Isak. Not because we can't get the deal done, but because we want to get a couple of other deals along the way. You want to get a striker, you want to get a winger, you want to get an attacking midfielder, and these days we're also talking about another defender and another goalkeeper. So I'm thinking there might be a possibility where Arsenal can sign Isak for around 150 million, but then we decide we're not going to do the deal. Let's just go and do a couple of cheaper deals, 80 million, 70 million, up to that. So that's why I think that the position of Benjamin Sesko is very, very important. Now, today, in the last few hours, news coming out from Germany has also confirmed, this is according to Christian Falk, he has worked with the Bild in German, so you've got to trust him. He has said that Arsenal are leading the race for Benjamin Sesko, despite the fact that the other clubs are also there. Now, that also means that most of the German sources believe that Sesko could be going to Arsenal unless something changes. I think around 2 weeks ago, I reported that Benjamin Sesko had already had an agreement to join Arsenal, and I still believe in that agreement. And we also know that there is an agreement between RB Leipzig and the player to leave them this summer if things go as planned. So last summer, the player extended his deal, and this summer he told them, I'm going to be leaving. I'm going to be leaving in the summer of 2025. Don't try to stop me. If a club comes in and they're giving you the money you want, upwards of 70 million euros, you've got to let me go. So according to Christian Falk, he says Arsenal are leading the race to sign Benjamin Sesko. If the player wants Arsenal and RB Leipzig are also willing to do a deal with Arsenal, then Chelsea, Man United, Liverpool and Tottenham might have actually to work and look somewhere else. Now, the important information about the price comes in from Florian Plettenberg. Florian Plettenberg works with Sky Sports Germany, and he has confirmed that yes, there is a verbal agreement between Leipzig and the player to let him go, but there is also a release clause. Now, right from last summer, we were hearing that the player is going to cost around 70 million euros, but we weren't sure whether that is what RB Leipzig want, or that was as per a release clause. Now, Florian Plettenberg has confirmed to us that there is a release clause, and that release clause is active this summer, and you can trigger it from 70 million euros rising to 80 million euros. But here is the catch. They're very smart. RB Leipzig have been very smart when it comes to this deal. What they have done, they've actually gone and said, his release clause is 70 million euros right at the beginning of this campaign. But it's going to rise until 80 million euros. And his release clause is based on performances, it's based on game time, and the better the player performs, the more the money you're going to pay. So I think if you're an Arsenal fan, you would actually be praying right now that Benjamin Sesko stops scoring, stops playing, and stops assisting. Otherwise, the more goals and the more assists that he does, then Arsenal have to pay more. But I don't think that's a problem for us. I think Arsenal are really and truly prepared to spend about 75 to 80 million euros on a new striker if they deem that player worth it. So the question is, how much is it going to cost really? We don't know at the moment. It's going to be around 70 to 80 million euros. And I think, in my opinion, I would be surprised if it goes down to around 75 to 76 million euros. I think that is a fair price. Now, is it worth 80 million euros? I mean, I think there are two sides of the coin here, and we've got to explore both of them. The first side is Benjamin Sesko is worth 80 million euros. He's 21 years of age and is one of the biggest market prospects on the striker market in Europe. If you're looking for a 21-year-old striker that can guarantee you goals right now and also in the future, that is actually Benjamin Sesko. But when you think about players like Victor Gyökeres and players like Julian Alvarez, who have gone for 90 million euros, 80 million euros, then you might ask a question, why is Sesko 70 to 80 million euros right now, yet the likes of Gyökeres, Osimhen, and Julian Alvarez are also costing the same? I mean, they're a little bit more proven, they're a little bit more clinical, and they're arriving in their prime, while Sesko is around 3 years, if not 4 years, away from his prime. So it's debatable. I want your thoughts there. Do you think it's worth 80 million euros? Or do you think it's a little bit too high to pay 80 million euros for a 21-year-old striker that has not even done his top services for a club like RB Leipzig for more than 3 good seasons? However, Arsenal are saying if we don't get him, there is no problem. We are also looking at other alternatives because other clubs are very much interested, and that's why the rest is actually heating up. More clubs have shown concrete interest, according to Florian Plettenberg, and Arsenal must either act quickly or we risk losing the player to one of our counterparts. The first one is Tottenham Hotspur, and Florian Plettenberg says that no, there's no problem with Tottenham. Yes, they want him, but their interest is minimal, and they also feel they're not going to get the deal done as compared to all the clubs that are also in the rest. Now, with Tottenham, personally, I don't fear them. They're a good club. They've always been there. They've done some good deals in the market. But I think when it comes to Arsenal and Tottenham, and we want a player, we are always going to beat Tottenham in the transfer market. A bit like Arsenal and Chelsea. When Chelsea want a player and Arsenal want that player too, they're more likely to end up at Chelsea than at Arsenal. So Tottenham, I'm not really worried about them. The next team is Chelsea, and I think Chelsea, we all are afraid of Chelsea. They splash the cash. They're willing to boost their squad with a couple of signings to make it a winning squad. Now, what they've already done this campaign is already very nice. They have laid the foundation. They have a couple of players in that team that are forces to reckon with. And if they can just add one good striker, better than Nicholas Jackson and better than Christopher Nkunku, they might actually be cooking some cuckoo this coming season. So I think Chelsea, we need to be afraid of them. They've got the money, they've got the ambition, and they've got the right project to call onto a player like Sesko. With Manchester United, I kind of feel like they're falling off a cliff a bit. Yes, they were good and mighty a couple of years ago, but I don't think that Arsenal should be afraid of Manchester United. Now, I'm not saying Arsenal should, just say, yeah, it's Manchester United, we shall beat them. I'm just saying that if Arsenal did what they're supposed to do, and Manchester United did what they're supposed to do on the Benjamin Sesko deal, I kind of feel like we shall get the deal done before Manchester United. And yes, Sesko might want to play for a club like Manchester United. They have the heritage, they have the history. But I kind of feel like for a player like Sesko, having avoided a transfer last summer, he wants to be very, I would say sure of game time and sure of the project that he's actually going to play for. I think he can get the game time at Manchester United, but for a club like Arsenal and Chelsea, you get a guaranteed project. A project that can be winning Premier League football and silverware very soon, and also a project that can lead you to a UCL final or a UCL trophy win very soon. So with Manchester United, I still feel they're far away from competing with us. The only threat that I feel, apart from Chelsea, is Liverpool. When it comes to Liverpool, there are two things that we've got to talk about. One, there will be Premier League champions come this summer, and a player like Benjamin Sesko, who is well organized and well advised as per his decisions last campaign, we believe that he might choose Liverpool. I mean, he's a player that really wants to go to the right project. He's a player that wants to be in the right place. So I won't be surprised at all if he says, I'm going Liverpool over Arsenal. I mean, Liverpool are really attractive. They've got a very good project, and they have the money to sign Benjamin Sesko. They didn't spend any money last summer, and they haven't spent any money in January of this year as well. So when we talk about clubs that have a handful of money in their bags, Liverpool is definitely one of them. But if Arsenal didn't get Sesko, where are we looking, and what are some of the options that I believe in, and what are those that I don't? Hugo Ekitike is one of the players that have been linked with Arsenal in the last few hours, and I would say Hugo Ekitike is not a bad striker. But for 80 million euros, or around 75 million euros, the price that is being quoted, no thank you. I would prefer Arsenal to look somewhere else, maybe a position like Jonathan David. Now, Jonathan David is interesting. When Arsenal were linked with Andrea Barta, one of the best sporting directors to sign in signing strikers, we were also linked with Jonathan David. And the story was that Andrea Barta might actually start with Jonathan David in terms of signing a striker for Arsenal. Now, David has been there as one of the strikers that are picking up interest from a couple of clubs. Arsenal wanted, Jonathan David, I think right from 4 or 5 years ago. The inception of this Arsenal rebuild saw interest in players like Jonathan David. And he's going to be a free agent this summer. So I won't be surprised if Arsenal signed a main striker and then we also signed Jonathan David as a free agent. But even if we don't, Arsenal also looking at Victor Osimhen. He's one of the top strikers that are out of, I would say out of favor for many clubs. So if Arsenal believe they can get him and resuscitate his form, then definitely Osimhen is one I would love. But we're also talking about Isak, and we're also talking about Dusan Vlahovic. With Vlahovic, we know the history. Arsenal wanted him right from 2022, just like Isak, and a deal didn't happen. So, looks like the Benjamin Sesko deal is heating up, with the likes of Liverpool and the likes of Manchester United joining the race to make it a little bit hotter. But also Arsenal are confident we can get the deal done as we are leading the race. See you in the next one. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Ciao.